Ball pythons are seen as great beginner snakes. A beginner python for those people who specifically are getting into the hobby of keeping pythons as pets. They are often looked at as a good stepping stone to keepers who eventually want to step their game up to keeping the larger constrictors, the ball python's larger cousins, the Burmese and reticulated pythons. Although vastly different in size, the ball pythons share a lot in similarity with Burmese pythons, the one referred to as the gentle giant, with them both being far less active, less inquisitive, and overall a more forgiving snake than the much more faster-paced reticulated python. Keepers often stating that a Burmese python's care is just a ball python scaled up 50 times. Ball pythons average 3 to 5 feet at their adult sizes, with 6 feet being a rare occurrence. This one here is 15 years old and 5 feet long, putting it at the larger end of the size spectrum for ball pythons, especially for this one being a male, which are usually at the smaller end of the size spectrum. At this size, he is normally fed medium to large rats, although jumbo rats have also been taken by him. However, it is not advised to feed a snake his size jumbo rats, as they are usually just a little too large, and this was simply done due to his normal prey size being unavailable. Jumbo rats are usually reserved for larger constrictors such as boa constrictors or true red-tailed boas. There are times when I resorted to giving him hamsters and gerbils. They were also taken by him. However, the typical complaint when it comes to owning a ball python is their tendency to go on long hunger strikes. That is, they go for long periods of time without food, seemingly without any warning or reason. Usually this is no threat to their health as they resume feeding after a few months, usually with no sign of weight loss. In fact, some even show an increase in size. I have taken this to mean that I was feeding him far too frequently, as a once-a-week feeding schedule is appropriate for smaller, younger pythons, but that is simply not the case for older, larger ball pythons, which inevitably have a slower metabolism. As said before, he is 15 years old, and toward the beginning of his life, he was eating once a week. By now, he's greatly slowed down to a once-a-month feeding schedule. I figured feeding him less frequently would eliminate his need to go on hunger strikes. After all, he is a type of snake suited to go on long periods of time without food, even when compared to other snakes. Other than that, I never had any problems with him being a picky eater. Switching him from live prey to frozen thawed prey items was relatively easy. He took a frozen thawed rat on the first try, which some may find unusual given the notorious pickiness associated with his species. Once thought to be primarily terrestrial, it is now being argued that the ball python may have some arboreal tendencies as well. This is due to the fact that a good portion of a ball python's diet out in the wild consists of the chicks of arboreal nesting birds. This is especially true for male ball pythons, which maintain their arboreal tendencies for a longer portion of their life. There is even a population of ball pythons known to take baths as well. On a few occasions, the African bush baby, a small nocturnal primate, have even been recorded to fall prey to this small species of python. Another thing ball pythons are known to do is periscoping, raising their head high off the ground to get a better look at their environment and allow the curious creature to take more in. This one here is no exception. It always remains the first thing he does upon being let outside or being put in a new area. It's just a quick way for him to check out the new place he's in and take in new information. He'd be stationary in one spot for about 5 to 10 minutes before starts moving or doing anything, making up his mind in which direction to go. But once he starts moving, he usually doesn't stop. However, ball pythons are prone to stressing out, so it's best not to do this too often and limit the amount of times one is taken outside. Ball pythons, like their larger counterparts, are largely sedentary. He spends much of his time in his hide box or basking somewhere in his terrarium, as they are normally nocturnal. If a ball python is active all day and all night, constantly searching the top of the terrarium without rest, this could be a good indication of stress, something I noticed about mine a few years back. I made the mistake of only putting a hide at the cool end of his enclosure instead of having a hide on both sides. Once he got his second hide, I noticed that he'd calmed down quite a bit and was no longer constantly searching. He now primarily uses the hide on the warmer end of his enclosure. So if you're noticing that type of behavior, just be sure to check your husbandry. Ball pythons, like most larger or thick, heavy-bodied snakes, tend to be sedentary and reclusive during the day. Despite their setbacks at being prone to stress and hunger strikes, the ball python still continues to be the reigning king as the most popular pet snake around.